$2 mineral that kills termites permanently, hidden by a 50B industry, the invisible invasion and the $50 billion lie. Right now, at this very moment, your home's foundation is being hollowed out from the inside. The walls you trust to protect your family are being consumed by an enemy you cannot see. And that $200 spray treatment you paid for last month, it hasn't stopped them. It has only forced them to find a different route into your home. Every year, homeowners across America spend over $5 billion fighting termites. They call professionals, they buy expensive treatments, and they watch their bank accounts drain as these tiny insects continue their relentless destruction. But here's the truth that nobody in the industry wants you to know. Most of these treatments are designed to manage the problem, not solve it. Walk through any neighborhood in the country and you will find homes under siege. Termites are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, consuming wood at a rate that would shock most people. A single termite colony can have millions of workers, and together they can eat through 1 foot of wood in just 6 months. They never sleep. They never stop. And they are incredibly good at what they do. The American homeowner faces an invisible war. Termites cause more damage to homes than fires, floods, and storms combined. The average repair bill for termite damage exceeds $10,000 per household. Some families face bills of $30,000 or more when the infestation reaches critical levels. Insurance companies rarely cover this damage because they classify it as preventable. So, homeowners are left to bear the entire financial burden alone. Now let's talk about the products that dominate the market. When you call a pest control company, they arrive with impressive equipment and technical language. They spray chemicals around your foundation, inject treatments into the soil, and charge you hundreds or thousands of dollars. The technician tells you that your home is now protected. You feel relieved. You write the check. And then 6 months later, the termites are back. Why does this keep happening? The answer lies in how these chemicals actually work. Most commercial termite treatments use what are called repellent chemicals. These substances do not kill termites. Instead, they create a barrier that termites avoid. The termites detect the chemical, change direction, and simply find another path into your home. It's like putting a fence around part of your yard and expecting it to keep out water. The water just flows around the fence and continues on its path. This is not an accident. This is the business model. The pest control industry generates billions of dollars every year from repeat customers. If they gave you a permanent solution, you would only pay them once. But if they give you a temporary barrier that requires regular maintenance and renewal, you become a customer for life. Your quarterly treatments, your annual inspections, your emergency callbacks when new damage appears, all of this generates predictable recurring revenue. The statistics paint a disturbing picture. Studies show that homes treated with standard repellent chemicals experience reinfestation rates of 30 to 50% within 2 years. That means half of all customers will need treatment again within 24 months. For the pest control company, this is perfect. For the homeowner, this is devastating. Let's examine what happens when termites encounter these repellent barriers. Scientific research using advanced tracking technology has shown that termites can detect repellent chemicals from several inches away. When they encounter the barrier, they do not die. They do not abandon their search for food. They simply turn and explore in a different direction. Within hours or days, they find a gap in the treatment, an untreated area, or a spot where the chemical has degraded. Then they continue their march into your home. The financial impact of this system is staggering. The average American homeowner will spend between $3,000 and $8,000 on termite control over the lifetime of owning a home. This does not include the cost of repairing damage that occurs despite the treatments. When you add repair costs, some families spend $20,000 or more fighting an enemy that should never have been so difficult to defeat. Here is where the story takes a shocking turn. There's a mineral that costs less than $2 per pound that termites cannot survive contact with. This substance is so effective that a single application can provide protection for years, not months. It does not repel termites. It eliminates them. When termites encounter this mineral, they die. The colony receives no warning, no chance to adapt, and no opportunity to find an alternative route. This mineral has been known to scientists and researchers for decades. It is not new. It is not experimental. It is proven, tested, and remarkably affordable. Yet the vast majority of homeowners have never heard of it. The pest control industry does not advertise it. Most professionals do not offer it as an option. And when homeowners discover it on their own, they are often told by industry experts that it is not as effective as the expensive chemical treatments. The question you must ask yourself is simple. Why would a $50 billion industry hide a $2 solution? The answer reveals everything you need to know about who really benefits from your termite problem. It is not you. Competitive noise suppression. Walk into any major hardware store and make your way to the pest control section. You will find yourself standing in front of 50 feet of shelving packed with products. There are sprays, baits, traps, granules, foggers, and electronic devices. There are products for ants, roaches, spiders, mosquitoes, and of course, termites. The brands compete for attention with bright colors, bold claims, and professional-looking labels. Some bottles cost $15, others cost $40 or $60. A few premium products exceed $100 for a single container. This overwhelming variety is not an accident. It is a carefully constructed wall of competitive noise designed to hide the simplest and cheapest solution in plain sight. Somewhere on that 50-foot wall, usually on a bottom shelf or tucked away in a corner, you might find a small box of borax or boric acid powder. It costs $3 to $5. The packaging is plain, often white or light blue with minimal graphics. There are no bold claims about professional strength or advanced formula. There is no termite-specific labeling. Most shoppers walk right past it without a second glance. This is competitive noise suppression, a marketing strategy used across many industries to protect profitable products from cheaper alternatives. The principle is simple. If you cannot remove a competing product from the market, you bury it in noise. You surround it with dozens of more expensive options that demand attention. You train consumers to associate quality with price and professional appearance. You create categories and subcategories that fragment the market and make comparison difficult. You ensure that the average shopper, faced with overwhelming choice and limited time, will reach for a recognized brand name rather than the plain package on the bottom shelf. The pest control industry has perfected this strategy. A homeowner with a termite problem enters the store looking for a solution. They are worried, perhaps even frightened about the damage being done to their home. They want something that works, and they want it now. They scan the shelves and see products specifically labeled for termites. These products feature images of houses being protected, claims of professional-grade effectiveness, and prices that suggest serious capability. The expensive spray must be better than the cheap powder, right? That is exactly what the shelf arrangement wants you to believe. But here's what the arrangement does not tell you. That $3 box of borax, properly dissolved in water and applied to wood, will provide longer-lasting and more effective termite protection than any $60 spray on the shelf above it. The difference is that the borax cannot be sold with a high profit margin, cannot be protected by patent, and cannot generate recurring revenue. It is a one-time purchase that solves the problem permanently. From a business perspective, it is the worst possible product to promote. Now let us examine the business model that dominates residential pest control. When you call a professional termite company, they do not simply sell you a one-time treatment. They sell you an annual contract. This contract typically includes an initial treatment followed by quarterly or annual inspections and retreatments. The initial service might cost anywhere from $500 to several $1,000 depending on the size of your home and the extent of the infestation. Then you pay a recurring fee every year, often several $100s, to maintain the protection. The sales pitch makes this sound reasonable. Termites are a persistent threat. They require ongoing vigilance. Professional monitoring gives you peace of mind. If new activity is detected, the company will retreat at no additional charge. It all sounds like responsible home maintenance. And in fairness, many homeowners feel relieved to have professionals handling the problem. But examine what you are actually paying for. The chemicals used in these recurring treatments are repellents, not eliminators. We have already established that these products do not kill colonies. They redirect them. So why do you need the service every year? Because the chemical barrier breaks down over time. Repellent pesticides degrade in soil due to microbial action, sunlight exposure, and chemical breakdown. Within 12 to 18 months, the barrier begins to fail. Gaps appear. Termites find their way through, so you need another treatment, and another, for as long as you own the home. This is not pest control. This is a subscription service. The company is not selling you a solution. They are selling you ongoing management of a problem that they ensure will never be permanently solved. The business model depends on you remaining a customer year after year. If they gave you a borate treatment that lasted 20 years, you would pay them once and never call again. That is not how you build a multi-billion-dollar recurring revenue business. Consider the math from the company's perspective. A customer who pays for a one-time borate treatment generates perhaps $300 to $500 in revenue. That customer is then gone forever, or at least for a decade or more. But a customer locked into an annual contract paying $300 per year generates $3,000 over 10 years, $6,000 over 20 years. Multiply that by millions of customers nationwide, and you begin to understand why the industry is structured the way it is. The profit is not in solving your problem. The profit is in managing it indefinitely. This same principle extends to new home construction, where the conspiracy becomes even more obvious. When a house is being built, the lumber is delivered to the construction site completely untreated for insects. The wood used for framing, floor joists, wall studs, and roof trusses is raw material with no protection against termites. The builders install this vulnerable wood, close up the walls, and hand you the keys to your new home. Within a few years, termites discover this buffet of untreated lumber and the infestation begins. Now ask yourself a simple question. Why is the lumber not treated before it is installed? The process is straightforward. Lumber can be dipped in or sprayed with a borate solution during manufacturing or at the construction site before installation. The treatment adds minimal cost, perhaps a few dollars per board. For an entire house, the additional expense would be a few $100s at most. This one-time treatment during construction would protect the home for decades. It would prevent the vast majority of termite damage before it ever starts. So why is this not standard practice? The answer is that there is no profit incentive for any party in the construction process to do this. The lumber company sells wood, not treated wood, and they make their margins on volume. The builder wants to minimize construction costs to stay competitive or maximize profit. The additional few $100s for borate treatment is an expense they would prefer to avoid, especially since the termite problem will not emerge until years after they have sold the house and moved on to the next project. The buyer, who would benefit most from this treatment, does not know to ask for it because the information is not widely available. The real beneficiary of untreated lumber is the pest control industry. Every home built with untreated wood is a future customer. The industry does not lobby for building codes that require borate treatment during construction. They do not educate consumers about this option. They do not partner with builders to include it as a standard feature. Why would they? Their business model depends on homes being vulnerable. They need termite problems to exist so they can sell their ongoing management services. This is planned obsolescence applied to housing. In consumer electronics, products are designed with limited lifespans to ensure repeat purchases. Your phone slows down after 2 years, encouraging you to buy the next model. In home construction, the absence of simple protective measures ensures that expensive repairs and treatments will be needed down the line. It is not that builders want your house to fail. It is simply that no one in the construction and pest control ecosystem has a financial incentive to implement the cheapest and most effective prevention method. Some states and countries have recognized this problem and updated their building codes to require termite-resistant construction methods. Australia, which has severe termite problems, mandates certain protective measures in new construction. Some U.S. states in high termite risk areas have similar requirements. But even in these jurisdictions, the regulations often focus on physical barriers or expensive chemical treatments rather than simple borate applications. The influence of the pest control industry on regulatory bodies is subtle but real. Trade associations representing pest control companies contribute to political campaigns. They fund research that emphasizes the need for professional treatment. They provide training and certification programs that create barriers to entry and reinforce the idea that pest control is too complex for average homeowners. They are not engaged in obvious corruption. They are simply protecting their industry through legal and normal business practices. But the result is a regulatory environment that does not encourage the simplest and most cost-effective solutions. Meanwhile, the average homeowner remains trapped in the system. They buy the expensive spray because the cheap powder is invisible on the shelf. They sign the annual contract because they do not know there is an alternative. They accept termite damage as an inevitable cost of homeownership because no one has told them that their house could have been protected from day one with a treatment that costs less than a nice dinner. The information exists, but it is buried under 50 feet of competitive noise, hidden behind subscription models, and obscured by an industry that profits from your ignorance. The conspiracy is not a secret meeting of villains plotting your downfall. It is something far more mundane and far more effective. It is a business model that aligns incentives around managing problems rather than solving them. It is a market structure that rewards complexity over simplicity and recurring revenue over one-time purchases. It is an information environment where the most valuable knowledge is the hardest to find. And it is costing you thousands of dollars while your home slowly crumbles from within. Opening the vault, the protocol in safety. You can find this powerful mineral in any hardware store, typically tucked away in the cleaning or laundry aisle. Look for borax or boric acid powder on the shelves. These compounds have been used for decades, but somehow disappeared from common household knowledge. The protocol is remarkably simple. Mix 2 tablespoons of the powder per quart of warm water. The application technique requires no scrubbing or harsh effort. Simply soak the affected area and let the solution do the work. This gentle approach is what makes it so effective yet overlooked. Safety is paramount when working with any cleaning compound. Always wear protective gloves to avoid skin irritation. Ensure proper ventilation in your workspace by opening windows or using fans. Never mix this solution with other cleaning products, especially bleach or ammonia, as chemical reactions can produce harmful fumes. This information represents more than just a household tip. It symbolizes reclaiming knowledge that was systematically removed from public awareness. For generations, people knew these methods. but modern marketing has buried these solutions under expensive branded products. This journey into forgotten household wisdom continues. Subscribe to Forbidden Fix because the next secret we uncover is even more significant. The knowledge vault runs deeper than anyone imagines, and we are committed to bringing every hidden truth back into the light where it belongs.